have the same amount of mortgage debt in America as we did in 2006, 2007. But boy, we've met up for it big time in other areas. So whether you're talking about the world, over $250 trillion of debt, the US government, corporate America, or US households, we've all been up to our eyeballs and drowning in debt.
Again, that led to 15 questions, but let me ask one of them just out of curiosity. The world has $250 trillion of debt, which is a lot of it is credit, but we only have around $50 trillion of currency. How is that possible? You know what I'm asking, right? We have $50 trillion of coins and currency. We have $250 trillion of debt.
We have a lot of good faith based on the prowess of the U.S. printing press. I mean, the United States maintains reserve currency status.
That's fake money, though. That's not real money. That's fake money. That's $200 trillion of fake money.
Oh, you're really? I know. But it's all based on faith.
How long is it sustainable, though, to go at that pace?
In theory, and if you listen to what you're being told, everything's going to be okay. Trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, with the United States in the lead. The United States by far, vis-a-vis any other country, is taking on more debt to address the coronavirus than anybody else on the planet, including China. That's saying something. And we're being told that it's all going to be fine because you can just have the Federal Reserve, which is what they're going to do this year, finance all debt that's being taken on, put all of it on their balance sheet. We came into this with the Federal Reserve's balance sheet somewhere in the neighborhood of $4 trillion. It is likely that we will get into double digits. $10 trillion.
That's a scary thought. You know, I'm looking at all this stuff, and to me, everything's a leader's bulletin, and I think someone's going to come out the winner here from coronavirus. I do think.
This is showing us that we need a strong leader.
I think behind closed doors there is, and I'm going to go to an empire that I'm looking at that it's going to be crazy for me to give them credit, but strategically, I think they have been poised for this to come up. So here's some data here. China's national debt is $5.2 trillion. That's what they have, right? And their GDP, their debt to GDP. By the way, before I get into this, how much do you as an economist look at the debt to GDP ratio? Is that a big factor? Do you look at that as a big factor or not really? It's not a big concern.
Oh, I think it's a huge concern.
It is. So
and now that we know that it's truly Milton Friedman behind me, I always adhered to his philosophy that there is no such thing as a free lunch. You can buy time. I mean, God knows we've seen a lot of time purchased, bought, but we haven't seen it paid for. So yes, I think that there will be ramifications.
Okay. So when you're saying that as an economist, you do look at nations and say Japan's at 221% debt to GDP ratio, they're about to have a massive recession taking place. It's going to take them a couple decades to recover. Do you go to extreme measures when you see numbers like that, or it's not a measure point that you look at and say that's a very big factor?
Well, it really is a country by country basis, and I'm not trying to back out of the question, but internally in Japan, they own their own debt. Their fate's not necessarily tied to other countries.
Which means?
That they're not beholden to the kindness of strangers, unlike the United States, where Japan owns $1 trillion of U.S. Treasury debt. China owns over $1 trillion of U.S. Treasury debt. We assume that we can take on as much debt as we possibly can imagine, and that our borrowing costs will never go up because we just assume that we're number one.
To elaborate what you just said, is that